Broken Instruments. The Broken Instruments of Nick Fuentes, Part 1. A new book, a new series. What is the broken instruments? The tools, the broken tools. They become of use and then become of disuse. We begin with the universal, the uniform, and the common. On necessity, repetition, and shared life. The universal is turned towards the one. The uniform is the repetition of the one. The common is true, the similar is false. What is everywhere is not therefore necessary. What is everywhere is not therefore necessary. Axioms of the universal. Weak, strong, and the burden of necessity. The double universal. The universal speaks in two registers. The two registers that must never be collapsed into one. There is a weak universal, born of observation. There is a weak universal born of observation which merely notes that things have so far appeared thus and not otherwise. This universal is descriptive, comparative, and provisional. It comforts thought but does not command it. Alongside it stands the strong universal which does not wait upon experience but legislates in advance, declaring that something must be so and cannot be otherwise. This second universal is not extensive but imperative, not empirical but a priori, and it is here that philosophy, science, and law have historically drawn their authority. The strong universal is not a neutral invention of reason, but a historical achievement with a specific genealogy. Its rigor was forged in Greek thought and weaponized in early modern Europe, where mathematical necessity was transformed to nature in the form of universal laws. This success in physics gave rise to temptation to extend the same necessity to ethics, behavior, and social life. Yet what appears universal in form reveals itself upon encounter with other cultures as radically singular in origin. When necessity migrates from nature to conduct, it becomes unstable. To ask whether human behavior is subject to categorical imperatives is to reopen the deepest division of modernity. Either ethics obeys the same ineluctable logic as physics, or it retreats into interiority of the subject, where singularity, secrecy, and decision reign. The universal, when applied to morality, no longer guarantees legitimacy. It demands justification, translation, and consent. The common is neither logical, like the universal, nor economic, like the uniform. It is political. It arises from sharing, not from necessity or convenience. The Greeks founded the polis on this principle, a space where what is held in common is actively constituted and continuously negotiated. The common exists only insofar as it is practiced. The common must never be confused with the similar. Similarity produces assimilation. It demands likeness as the price of belonging. The true common, by contrast, is composed of differences held together without reduction. Only a common that does not require sameness can be productive, generative, and alive. The common is both inherited and elected. Some forms of sharing are given by birth, family, language, nation, while others are chosen through commitment, movements, associations, and collective projects. The political task is to articulate these layers without allowing any single one to claim absolute priority. All forms of the common are in principle extensible. One shares something with intimates, with compatriots, with strangers, with all humanity, with all living beings. Yet every extension draws a line. Every line risks becoming a border. The same gesture that includes can exclude. The same common that gathers can harden into intolerance. The sphinx of the work, on the work to be made, irritability and the ethics of responding. Work it out or thou shalt be devoured. Nothing, not even ourselves, is given to us other than in a sort of half-light. To know what a being is, you have to ensnare it up to the moment when it is manifest in the entire accomplishment. Oblivion, uncategorizability in the political reception. Some thinkers do not fail, they vanish. Their disappearance is not the market's indifference to mediocrity, but the culture's inability to metabolize a work that refuses easy placement. The forgotten philosopher may have been decorated, institutional, and competent in every worldly sense, yet still be swallowed by an all-encompassing silence, precisely because the work resists being used, opposed, or summarized. Oblivion is often the final judgment rendered by categorization that cannot be filed, cannot be cited, and what cannot be cited cannot remain. There is a special kind of exile reserved for the uncategorizability. Not scandal, not condemnation, but the respectful emptiness around such a work a vacuum forms, in which no one dares to contextualize, continue, or plunder, until the act of engagement would reveal one's inadequacy. This is not the lack of admirers, but the failure of interlocutors. To inherit openly is to raise contempt in the ages that worship rupture. A thinker who strolls through the cabinet of sciences and arts without the required gestures of negation will appear patrimonial, indulgent, and therefore suspect. Yet the refusal of the tabula rasa can be wagered. That thought does not begin in purity, but in the thick accumulated achievements. The scandal is not conservatism, but the insolence of proceeding as though one may draw freely from what modernity insists must be rejected to prove seriousness. Philosophical fashion is a negative theology. It dictates what we know very well. We are no longer permitted to speak of. An unfashionable thinker commits a kind of heresy by refusing censorship of the old objects, God, the soul, the work, without rehabilitating them in an improved manner. His crime is neither regression nor provocation, but refusal to perform the era's ritual a disavowal. Out of fashion then becomes a mark of method. The work is not behind its time, but outside its permission. Questioning situations in the hand-to-hand combat of thought. There are philosophies that comment on problems and philosophies that construct them. The later begins by the questioning situation, not as a theme, but as an ordeal that demands an answer. Thought here is not the production of opinions, but a hand-to-hand combat with what insists. The discipline is measured not by elegance of conclusion, but by the courage to let the situation dictate the terms of inquiry. A dense book is often treated like a meteorite, admired as an alien object, left where it fell. Never integrated into the soil practice, but the meteorite metaphor flatters our laziness. It absolves us of the work of trajectory. If a philosophy arrives as a shock, its real demand is not wonder but relocation. placing it within a line of travel so that its strangeness becomes legible as necessity. The introduction, the guide, the preface, these are not crutches but instruments for preventing the work from being mistaken for mere oddity. The classical example is never innocent. A cliche is chosen not because it is true, but because it is widely understood and therefore capable of being detonated. The lump of clay in the sculptor's hands are ammunitions precisely because they invite misunderstanding. The old story of form imposed upon matter, the philosopher uses the banality to lure the reader into a trap where the available models, creation, realization, emergence, planning must be refused one by one. Every work lives in at least two existential aspects, the made and the to be made. The physical thing may be fully present as a thing, yet the work may exist only weakly, as a distant pool, a demanded convergence. The journey of making is not the accumulation of matter, but the progressive evolution of a distance. Completion is the moment when the work's physical existence and spiritual existence coincide intimately, that each becomes the lucid mirror of the other. Coincidence is not resemblance. It is not the copy approaching an original that stands safely elsewhere. In true completion, the original is not prior. It is generated along the way, attaining existence together with what will be called its realization. The mirror must be reimagined. It is not the plan reflected in matter, but the achieved work retroactively producing what counts as its own demand. The model is not a cause. It is a consequence of accomplishment. A project promises